Well, for the first time ever, second time for you, you and I went live on TV.
That's right.
And, they say camera adds a couple pounds. They made me look like a freaking giant.
Well, looking at the replay, man, I look like I'm just a little tiny fella.
I know I have large legs, okay? But it looked like I had tree trunks that were 4 times the size of yours. And you got some pretty strong legs because, you running 40,000 days in a row.
Speaking of which, Zach, tomorrow is the 11-year birthday.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
I got an email today, 269 days until the One City Marathon. I don't envision me ever doing a marathon again. Could be wrong, but maybe I'll do a half. Just throwing
half is a good distance, but yeah. So, did you like being live and in color?
It was interesting. Once I got going, I was fine. I definitely, I felt myself rocking on the. I could. At one point, I looked down and I could just see my leg going.
I know. Yeah. It's just so funny. I mean, we do this. This is year 6, as we've discussed. We're in front of a camera a lot.
It's different.
It's different.
This is our controlled environment. It's completely different when you're in someone else's home. I'm sitting there. We were only in the studio for 4 minutes. The whole thing was 3 minutes.
3 minutes and 47 seconds. Yeah.
My hand was slobbering, soaking wet. Went to shake the guy's hand. It just went down. He was like disgusted, but whatever. Today's guest, Kevin Griffin. Have you ever been live on TV before? Not like a podcast or something like that.
No.
What do you think you'd be nervous?
I don't think I have. I saw the clip. You guys did a great job.
Thank you. It was. I think if we had a second segment, we would have been a lot better. Maybe they'll call
I thought that everything went well. It was just it was funny. You just have a lot on your mind. Your mind is so it's just like trying to slow everything down. And then once we leave there, Megan, Zach's partner in crime, she's like, Zach, you didn't smile at all. And then I got to thinking, I'm like, geez, I didn't even think about smiling either. But just because I had so many other things on my mind.
I have RBF. I have a bad case of it. It's really bad. People don't get it. I'm not mad. I'm not angry. I'm literally I'm focused. And I was concentrating.
Yeah.
And I wasn't thinking to smile,
Thankfully
I did see a little smirk though. I did make a smirk at one point. I was like,
well, you had the sweet basketball.
I did. I got that in there.
You got the word Coco.
I referred. We got a quick little coronavirus Coco in there. I like to call it the Coco, Kev. I told people the worst advice you could take in business is listening to your mother. She's going to give you bad advice. I thought I had 2.5 good one-liners in there, including my missed shot at the very end.
Yeah, it was good. I appreciate them taking interest in the World Cup. It's a big deal. It's something we all need to rally around.
Yeah, thank you to 13 News Now. Hopefully other stations as well will be interested in having these two clowns.
Kevin, you're no stranger to putting on events. It's a lot of work. It's a hustle.
I was looking back at the calendar, and I think I've been developing developer events for almost 20 years. Coming up to that milestone.
I feel like I met you at Mad Expo,
that's right. Yep.
And that had to have been, I quit TV news in 2010.
Yep.
It had to have been Titan days because that would have been 10 to 12. So it had to have been somewhere in there because you did
2011, 2012, I think. Yeah.
Hampton Convention Center?
Hampton Convention Center. I was surprised we got that venue. It turned out to be a great venue. Cheap. Was exactly what we needed at the time. I really missed that event, and it's a great story about why we didn't do a third version of it. I'm not sure if anyone wants to hear that, but it's great for over beers and stuff.
No. If someone starts a story on this show, I'm going to complete it. So we cannot we can't let the crowd be like, well, what's the story? Like,
so the story is we're doing the normal event stuff. So you try to get speakers to come in. We are looking for sponsors. We're selling tickets, and we were doing these bi-weekly check-ins as we had a core group of guys that were managing the event. And I think we were about a month before the event. We were month before our go date, like drop dead go date, where we had to commit to the venue. And one of the folks said, he was in charge of sponsorship, like reaching out, and we already had relationships with a lot of them. He said, I'm going to reach out to the sponsors today. And we're like, have you not reached out to any of the sponsors? Do we not have any committed sponsors dollars? And turns out we had 0 sponsor dollars 35 days before the event. And we went back and looked at ticket sales, like, all right, well, how many tickets would we need to sell to, assuming the worst case, we had absolutely no sponsorship. And we made the decision that because we didn't have any sponsorship dollars, there was no way we were going to sell the number of tickets that we had to sell, that we actually decided to cancel the event. And once you cancel an event, you can never uncancel an event. So we decided Mad Expo was done, and was just a fond memory of all those involved. But that was the reason. The folks in charge of sponsorship did not do any outreach for sponsorship. And I learned a big lesson from that, was that it's never one person in charge of sponsorship. It always needs to be a team effort for sponsorship. And whenever you look at budgets, you always talk about sponsorship. Like it's always the conversation piece, because it's very difficult to do an event without any sponsorship. Like you have to charge people outrageous dollars to get into the door. And I don't think people really realize how much sponsorship offsets an event. And we had to cancel because we didn't have any sponsorship.
Yeah, well, venues are not cheap in many cases. I don't know what Hampton.
Well, the crazy thing about that, it's just like, I don't ever want anyone to lose money.
Yeah.
But it's like, some people are like, we're willing to keep this thing empty, lights off, and like just don't take advantage of us. We're just trying to build community, get something started.
It's not like the city addresses, where there's a huge budget for things like that. I think a lot of times it's exactly what you said. It's community building, stuff like that. I remember after Start Norfolk 2, I feel like this is the right time frame. We had sent out this is Hatch Days. We had sent out a survey, what's missing? Everything that was great about Start Norfolk, people wanted more of, but people, like, we had these speaker sessions. I don't know if you ever spoke at Start Norfolk, I can't recall. But at Start Norfolk 2, I think that's the one where we had about 350, 400 people, 73 ideas. And we had a single track of speakers going while people were also building in a separate room. But it was great. Great speakers were there. But a lot of people weren't able to go over there because they were over here. And people were like, well, what if we could just do the speaker thing? I was like, cool, let's do it. We'll do this event called Drop Anchor. We landed this. We landed this venue in Norfolk, which is where TC's Theater is. I can't think of what that's called right now.
Roper?
The Roper
Theater.
Yep.
600. It was 600 seats. We had sponsors though, Kevin.
Yeah.
So we did okay on the sponsor side, but then couldn't
did
sell
really good
tickets.
On getting speakers too.
Yeah. Oh, these speakers, like, I remember looking back at this, maybe since we've done the show, really good speakers that have now even gone on to like do some really crazy things. So I'm like, damn, I can't remember what we charged per ticket. I want to say $300, but we made some, I don't know. I feel like sometimes you can get customer discovery and it doesn't really tell you the answer. Yeah. And I feel like in this case, we maybe it told us the answer, but we didn't go deep enough. Whereas like, okay, like a 2-day event, maybe the money was too expensive. People have to work. There's too many assumptions on our part, but canceled it. I remember when I canceled that, like that was real tough.
Yeah. You're not a guy that stresses about much. And that seemed to be a stressful, dark place for you.
I must hide it really well. That is great. No, I mean, look, it sucks. Like, I feel like you're you have this trajectory where you're like everything's going great and you're feeding off of those things and you're trying to play off of that. And then when it doesn't, you're like, damn. The good thing is though, is because no one really knew about the event. Once I canceled it, no one knew that it was canceled because no one cared. Like, but I just think you have, I mean, that was what, 2013, 12 years from now, or 12 years ago. You just have high hopes for the people and the community and the region. Like you want to show them like you can do something big. And sometimes when people don't jump on board, I think that can be, it's like you have to look inside and say, okay, like what am I doing wrong to show this thing that I know you want because you've told me? What am I like? What is the facade? Why is the facade wrong? What could I do to kind of open the door and say, come at me?
There's definitely a running theme in every event I've run since. So primarily we've had, let me point. So Revolution Conf, it was our big 400 person event we ran here in Virginia Beach. Hampton Roads Dev Fest is our smaller, it's our hyper locals event. That one was about 200 people. But like every time we sit down to do one of these events, I ask myself the question, like, do I trust this area to show up? And I say that and I go through the event and they show up. Like I feel like sometimes I'm going to run an event, I'm going to put all this money and effort into something and no one's going to show up for it. But they've done a good job in the past of showing up. This Dev Fest we did this past year, we broke our records in just the number of people that showed up to it. So they'll show up. It's just really hard to start doing all that work without the guarantee that they're going to come. So yeah, it's the biggest reason I haven't done another Revolution Conf is I want to hit numbers like 400 or 500 people, and that it just takes a lot of trust for folks to show up for that. That I don't think I'm ready to pull that plug yet.
Well, if you're stressing, all you have to do is crack open a crunchy hydration. This one is Watermelon Calm plus stress relief.
Sponsored?
Shout out to Meg.
No, but they should be now, right? Well, I mean, they gave me this. So technically, I had to give them some product placement, I guess, you know.
Yeah. I'm gonna drink out of my Portsmouth Yeti.
You know, Tim has never had a Yeti cup before until about a month ago.
Dude, I'm too cheap.
Like that.
Too cheap.
How did you guys meet?
It was at your event.
It was okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about events. That's a badass poster, by the way. I think the Dev Fest one, whoever designed that, super rad. We have something very much in common outside of business, outside of events, and maybe you're still love. It's not that I don't love these things anymore, but I just haven't really done it in a while. Roller coasters. I think I've been on about 100.
Throw the names up on the bottom of the screen. I think that's a roller coaster. Emoji,
oh yeah, I put the emoji in my name. And it wasn't just for this. I've always had the emoji in my StreamYard link.
Really?
Yeah.
And here I am. I can't figure out how to do it. There we go. 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 That's cool. I need to figure out how to do that. Okay, so you just hit your 100th roller coaster. I think I'm somewhere between 150, 160.
Yeah.
There used to be a website where you could track all of them. I tried finding it the other day, but I couldn't remember it. Is there something like that does that now?
A lot of folks use an app called LogRide to track their rides. I know a lot of people just use spreadsheets.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I do. Is I just
it would be hard for me to figure that out.
Because there's different level of tracking. Like some people don't just track their unique rides or unique credits. They track the number of times they've been on certain rides. Like I can't tell you how many times I've been on any given ride. Like that is a level of analysis that I can't do. But I can tell you unique rides I've been on.
Apollo's Chariot's your go-to. I know I've seen some writing about that.
Love that ride. Yeah.
Great ride.
Is that your all-time favorite?
It's my all-time favorite, not because it's not the best or anything, but it's like it's like my lazy boy. I could go get on Apollo's Chariot.
I love the negative G's.
Yeah. Just I would just sit there and take a nap. Just let me enjoy up and down, around and around. There are similar rides in other parks that are probably better rides, like objectively better rides. But
Nitro opened the same year as that. at
What's
Six
that?
Flags Nitro at
Yeah.
Six Flags Great Adventure. Same company, B&M. We're
Mhm.
nerding out here, Tim.
Yep.
As the ones who built Apollos, they also did Alpengeist.
Yep.
A couple others.
But like I rode Orion recently at Kings Island, similar model as Apollo's Chariot. Probably a better ride, but Mako down in SeaWorld, Florida, same type of ride, but Apollo's Chariot is just, I just love it. So it's always going to be my number one until they tear it down, and it's still going to be number one.
I think it's a little too short.
It could be longer. Yeah, I agree.
What is the longest duration ride of a roller coaster?
Well, Beast, right?
Beast
Year
is up
100.
there. Yeah.
Beast is the longest wooden coaster, I think, in the world.
Well, longest running or the longest in duration of the ride?
Oh, well, which one do you want?
I was looking for the duration of the ride. I just
What's
figured
that
they all
one
had to be.
There's one in Europe that's like a mine train.
Yeah.
That it's got a couple lift hills. I'd say the most rides are probably 2 minutes, and the majority of that is lift hill. But I think this one's like 3-4 minutes. Beast, I think, is longest wooden coaster.
I think so.
What was your experience? What did you think of that?
I loved Beast. So I chose it as my 100th simply because it's a classic. I wanted to make sure I had a classic coaster as my 100th, and because there's a lot of throwaway coasters that just exist because they needed to fill a spot, and I didn't want one of those to be my 100th. So I planned the entire day around riding Beast for number 100. So I'm a member of ACE, the American Coaster Enthusiasts. They have several landmark coasters throughout I would say the US, but around the world. So there's a couple in Europe as well. But Beast is one of them, that it's a designated classic coaster. And like you could say Beast, and anyone who knows coasters at all knows Beast. I love the ride. I wish I could have done it at night, because apparently night rides on Beast are an out-of-body experience. I didn't have the time for that, but we did, late afternoon ride. It was raining. It was running really fast, and there's two halves of it. The first half was amazing. The first half threw me a little bit. I don't think I was ready for the second half of Beast. So a little bit of Tylenol could fix that issue, though.
Yeah, so it's 2 lift hills. It goes up, and then the first part, Tim, it goes basically through the forest at basically ground level, but a lot of twists and turns. And so where a lot of roller coasters now will do this side of it, a lot of it is really the turns, but not really turning. And then it speeds up allegedly faster at night. And then you get to the second lift hill, and then it goes down this double helix, which when my mom's been on this in like 2000, so 25 years ago, it bruised her. It was that rough. So it's pretty brutal. It would not be my favorite. I think Raven is my first favorite at Holiday World. Steel would be Millennium Force.
I love the Millennium Force. Yep.
So good. Tim, what about
That's
you?
the top 3 for me.
The Millennium Force, that's your point?
Yeah.
Yep.
You been on it?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
There we go.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Is that your favorite?
No, that was good. I am an Apollo's Chariot guy.
It's good. Come on, man. What are we talking
It
about?
was a long time ago, man. So I can't. The adrenaline is no longer flowing from that. When I was a kid, Darien Lake was always a really popular place, and I think it was the Viper. That was like the first steel coaster that they had. And so, dude, I've rode that many times.
It's not a Woody?
No.
Okay. They got a Woody there.
Yeah.
I can't.
Have you guys been to Darien Lake?
Yeah, I have. They have. Okay, so my home park growing up was Six Flags America. It's closing this year. They had a Superman the Ride, which was basically up, down, around, the little helix, up, down, boom, boom, another helix, I think, and then a crazy bunny hop triple.
Yep.
And Darien Lake had a mirror image of that. So majority of the time I was going this way, but then we went to Darien Lake, it went that way. This is what we did growing up. My brother and sister hated it. Our vacations would be going to amusement parks. I was told this when I got married, when my brother gave a speech and was like, I had to go to all these stupid places instead of going to the beach every year or something like that. And now I don't ride them at all.
See,
So is that like your
we
hobby?
were too poor and couldn't never went to theme parks. I only went to Busch Gardens. And like when I was a teenager, I got to go to King's Dominion for the first time. And then when I started making my own money and I could start affording to go places, like that reinvigorated my love of roller coasters. So now I'm trying to get a new park, like 1 or 2 new parks a year. That's kind of my goal.
Busch Gardens is underrated.
It is. Yeah.
What's the furthest distance you have traveled to attend a park?
I plan a lot around conferences. So
Smart.
if I go do conference speaking, actually that's why I went to Kings Island. I was in Columbus for a conference and I scheduled an extra day, drove out to Kings Island, and I took my son with me. And we did everything there. Last year I was in Kansas City, so I planned a day before. I went to Worlds of Fun, rode everything there. That was great because I took an Uber to Worlds of Fun, which I've never done before. Rode all 5, 6 coasters they have, and then it started thunderstorming. I'm like, all right, I'm good. Got an Uber, came back to the hotel. So got everything knocked out in like 3 hours.
Is that Mamba there? What's their
I'm trying to remember what their steel is. I don't remember.
Because them and Dorney Park and then Valley Fair, I feel like all have like the same similar stuff. The fact that I don't watch any roller coaster things and I still have that in my brain is ridiculous to me. This is all muscle memory. And this is what I did from like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I did what are those like boards that you do that you like construction boards like you do like projects for in school? Like mine were always roller coaster
vision board or
like the
something?
trifold.
No, not a vision. Yeah, the trifold thing, not a vision board. People thought I was going to design roller coasters. That was like the thing. Oh god, it's crazy.
Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Loved that game.
Yeah, I was there.
Dude.
All right, I could talk about roller coasters now.
I have a question.
Let's
so I'm going to borderline make myself look foolish. But dude, all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, like within the last month or two, the phrase that I hear all over the place is vibe coding.
Mm-hmm.
What is the deal with vibe coding, and why all of a sudden is that such a hot phrase?
Okay, so I do a lot of vibe coding myself. So vibe coding is essentially you're sitting down with an editor and you're giving instructions to AI to build a project for you. So strictly vibe coding is you're never actually doing the work yourself. You're instructing the AI to do the work on your behalf. So I like to create an iOS app and it should be called blah. And, here's some requirements for what the app should do. And the AI will go off and build it. And then it will come back and go, did I do a good job? And go, no, you didn't, because it never does. And you give it follow-up instructions. Oh, I like you to make the color blue instead of green. And I like you to do this and that. And it's a vibe because you're just like spitballing ideas and requirements to the AI, and the AI is going off and doing the work. I do a fair bit of that now. It's a really good way to, I guess, I call myself a trained professional. I'm a trained professional to go do a lot of work very quickly that probably would take me hours if I was doing it all by hand, but having the AI do a lot of it for me up front makes my life easier. So I'm not sure if that directly answers your question.
No,
that's essentially what vibe coding is letting the AI do the work for you and you not touching the code at all.
It is quite it's quite the buzzword. I hear it everywhere.
So a lot of people are threatened by the robots.
Yeah.
But you, as a full-time developer,
yeah,
you're like, let's jump on this ride. Sounds like
it's a tool. Like, so everything I do is building a bigger toolbox and filling it with tools that I can use to solve problems. And vibe coding AI is a tool. And I think some people look at it as this is the tool that's going to replace me. And that's not wrong, depending on what level of professional you are. But I think the people who are really going to win are the professionals that take the tool and just add it as part of their workflow. I use AI to help me talk through big problems, and in the same way, whereas before, if I had a big problem, I would jump on a call with 2 or 3 folks I trust immensely and just toss ideas back and forth. I don't have to talk to a person now to do that. I can talk to an AI, and the AI will give me feedback. In some cases, give me references to different ways that I can solve the problem. And in a lot of cases, me and the AI, we spitball a solution, and then I can say, well, can you go mock that up for me? And the AI will go do all the hard work of mocking up a solution for me to review. And what ends up happening is they'll do that work, and I'll go, you know what? I changed my mind. That's awful. I don't want to do it that way. I think I want to do it a different way. And the AI doesn't have any sort of ego. So the AI will say, okay, let's just throw away all that work I did. Let's start from scratch and let's do something different. So I think it's going to make, in the future, iterating solutions much faster. I can do a very fast V1 and then a very fast V2. And then usually by your V3, you're honing in on the thing you actually wanted to build. And for a variety of businesses out there, that's the critical part. Like so many resources are wasted on that V1. And once you finish V1, you realize that's not what you actually wanted. What you wanted was V2 or V3. So being able to get that V1 done soon is.
It makes me think like back in the day, for all the kids that are listening, there used to be cameras and you would have 24 exposures.
Yeah.
And you had to be really, really selective on what you wanted to take a picture of, because once the film was gone, the film was gone. Switching over to digital, as we know, you can take as many pictures as you want. And now with vibe coding, you can, it's kind of the same deal, but with code as opposed to film.
I never thought about that, but that's a great analogy.
So over the years, you've heard, well, first of all, do you have a name for your robots?
No.
I have a name for mine. The way you were talking to it, like you probably should.
I don't think I can say it on the air.
Wasn't there a movie about that, like Her or A Machina or something like that? Like, all right. Well, thanks for being on the show today, Kevin. We appreciate it. No. You know how so many people would outsource overseas, tech stuff? I never thought of this until just now. It almost makes me think that if they had gone through a process like what you just said, first iteration, second iteration, third iteration, and had done that first and then shoved it overseas, maybe they actually would have gotten their money's worth.
Yep.
Because you hear so many horror stories. I don't know if people still do this. I guess they do, right? Outsource to the Philippines and other nations from that perspective. But if they go through that process, you could probably fix a lot of that challenges.
A lot of the success of using an offshore team is if you have a trusted professional to oversee them. Because what I've seen in a lot of cases, I've worked with overseas teams. Like there's a lot of talented folks overseas, but what happens is you have usually a non-technical person come in and go, I'm going to pay this overseas team to build my vision and do my V1, and they're just cranking out code, and it's never to the spec or the requirement or to the expectation of the person who's paying them. So a lot of times those offshore projects will fail just because there's not a person overseeing the work being done to comment on this is good, this is crap. And AI is very similar to that. If you're a non-technical person asking the AI to do something, the AI is probably going to give you crap and you're not going to realize it. But having a technical person overseeing that process and understanding like, oh, this is an issue, that's an issue, that's not what the business owner wants, or whatnot. If you don't have that person, you're just going to keep getting crap. You need that person with technical chops to oversee everything.
How have you seen the technical landscape evolve over the course of the last 15, 20 years here locally within Hampton Roads?
Here locally, it's gotten better. It's gotten bigger. We actually have a lot of tech in the area that is very quiet.
Yeah.
I think 10, 15 years ago, if you asked me, what's the technical landscape of Hampton Roads? It was, well, military contract or healthcare contract. And, since then there's a lot more private businesses. You all did a thing with Yellow Dog not too long ago. Like, Yellow Dog was one of those companies that I had never heard of until we were doing DevFest, and they just kind of came out of the shadows. We're like, oh yeah, we're a software company in Hampton Roads. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like all these companies exist. They're just very quiet, very to themselves, and it's kind of relieving, because when I was starting events here, and I've run user groups in the area for developers for years and years and years. It's always been military, it's always been healthcare, and it's never been private business.
Interesting.
Yellow Dog. I used to golf with Jay Livingood a lot. Like, he like 2 times a week when I golfed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever hit par. Hell, I don't think I've ever gotten 3 over par. I mean, on one hole, not anything crazy. But
I always said high score wins, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I watched that video. That was pretty cool. Like, because I had asked him to invest in Hatch 2011, 12, 13 timeframe. He passed on it, which is fine. No, I mean, there's no problem there. But he was just starting to ramp that up, because I think in the video he said it's 17. They're 17 years old or something like that. So that means he would have been 08 timeframe. But I mean, it's pretty wild. Like, when you can get resilient and gritty, stick with it. What can happen?
Yeah.
There's 75 employees now. They do the inventory management for a crazy amount of stadiums in the country, maybe the world. I can't remember, but it's pretty cool that something like that is happening in your own backyard.
What is the series that you're talking about, Zach?
I don't know. You talking about Disrupting the Tide?
Yeah, what is that?
Well, I believe Disrupting the Tide is a series of documentary style videos that tell the story of Hampton Roads businesses in a way that they've never been seen before.
Love it. Clip it. Let's roll.
Well, I'll consider it. No, but I mean, I think kind of back to like your point, like earlier, like, do I trust the region?
Yeah.
Right? Do I trust that these people will show up? Right. I think a lot of times people in this region are negative first, but there's a lot of people that are positive first, that are like, we're doing these things for you. Like, there's opportunities here. Right. And so, like, I think Disrupting the Tide is also telling that story and being like, okay, like I talked about the facade earlier. So, okay, well, let me show you the facade a little differently, right? This is peeling back of the onion of some of the companies that are doing some pretty rad stuff in the region. Maybe you've heard of them, maybe you haven't. But then, I think at some point, like you keep telling that you keep going up that roller coaster, and at some point, like, it's like, okay, we're at the top. Let's start going down that ride and realizing, like, this is a fun little thing that we got going on here in the old 757.
Yep.
Because we all know it's good stuff,
Yeah, it's all good stuff. I think another comment I would make, just in the general landscape of all the events going on, is there's what's the nicest way to say this? There's a lack of upcoming leadership. Like, it's the same folks doing all the events, putting in all the initiative to get this stuff up off the ground. Like, we're kind of alluding to it earlier. Like, we've been doing this for a long time.
Desperately, anybody that wants to be my replacement, let's start working and doing that now.
the people who say, hey, can I help? Yes. Like, you want the easiest way to just meet the people worth knowing in this area. Like, get involved in any of this. Like, I'm not even talking to the developer stuff. Like, if you want to get involved in developer stuff, talk to me. There's a bunch of other leaders in the software developer space here. But if you want to start, do something leadership wise in the startup community, like, no one's going to tell you no. Never is going to tell you no. And we desperately need that next generation of leader coming in to help run these events. The biggest reason I haven't done RevolutionConf, because I'm tired. Like, I've run 4 of them. I've run 4 or 5 Dev Fests. Like, I need a break. Like, my kids are teenagers. I can't do all this work. I really need someone else to show a little bit of initiative. Like, the seeds are already planted. We just need someone to come help water them.
Yeah, it's new, fresh ideas, young energy, always a super positive thing, and always welcome it.
I have not attended this, but I've seen it through the socials. Maybe either of you guys have seen it, but it sounds like there's some version of Start Norfolk out there called 757 Build Weekend.
I've heard of it. Yep.
And I know Lionel Sapp, who we've had on the show, is somehow involved in some of these things. He seems like an interesting individual. Love his energy. He has volunteered. He helped us volunteer for the Startup World Cup last year. Love his energy and stuff like that. But it's like what you're saying. It's like, who are those next people? And we had Jarrett Beeler of Sway on, an advertising agency, on a few weeks ago. He kind of said the same thing. He's like, I'm doing these things now for the next wave of people.
Yeah.
And it's just really interesting to sit back and to even think that, like, hey, like, that was a long damn time ago.
Yep.
Like, I saw something the other day. I was like, damn, I haven't talked to that person since 2017.
Yeah.
That's almost a decade ago. And I talked to this person a lot back then. Yeah. So it's just crazy. Yeah. I mean,
it is wild. I don't feel like I have aged at all. And when I look back at those pictures from back in the day, I'm like, who are these kids?
Yeah. I didn't, just for the audience to know, Apple has this. I got an iPhone, and like every day they have like a new featured picture of the day, which is like your old stuff. And usually when I have a picture with Tim, and there's not a lot of them, right? We probably see each other 4 times a year, if that. I will send it to him. And this was at, I believe, your celebration of Launchpad.
Okay.
And that was 2015, 2016, because I'm pretty sure you're wearing the star suit.
Yeah, that was the debut.
0 grays in that hair, Tim. Just want to let you know. So 10 years ago, no grays. I'm skipping gray. I'm going straight to white. Look at this beard. Like, this is ridiculous. And I'm not going to dye it. I'm not going to be one of those people. I refuse.
Yeah,
I say that now. But maybe when
I think that the ship has sailed. If I change it now, man, everyone would know. I don't think you can make a graduate.
Everyone can know when it happens. I look at these people. I'm like, seriously, like I haven't lived to that, so I have to be empathetic of that. But it's like, we can tell that's not your natural color. Like, it ain't working. Yeah. Like, don't just get the Just for Men and just put it in. It ain't working. This episode's gone way off the rockers, and I'm all for it.
Well, I knew that it was going to go down this way because all of us have been at this for a really long time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I go back and I look at my career, I guess kind of bring it back into, I guess, what I think the original topic was supposed to be, like the best career move I made back. So I got out of college in 2006. Best career move I ever made was going to a group in 2007, saying hi to someone, and then like coming back. Like, people don't understand how much of a leg up you get if you just show up.
Yeah.
Like, because just showing up to a group wasn't even here in Hampton Roads. It was up in Richmond. Like, there was nothing here. And I was going to Richmond to participate in groups up there before I started doing groups down here. And like, just showing up more than once or twice, like people start to remember you. And that was the springboard for me being able to go into independent consulting and basically becoming a known quantity in the software developer, group here in Virginia and most of the Mid-Atlantic. It's just show up. Like, it's the easiest thing to do, and you'll never have to worry about a job if you just show up.
I call that raising your damn hand. You never know what can happen.
Never.
I got good news, guys. I found the picture.
Oh boy.
Here we go.
Oh yeah.
There it is. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't. No, you weren't wearing. That might be the second party. I don't know. Anyways, I haven't worn that shirt in a while. I haven't worn a white undershirt in a long time either. Look at that. Look at Tim. Look at you.
Look, that is. It's embarrassing to say, Zach. That is the same shirt pant combo that I wore on our news segment.
I'm glad it still fits.
You still got it. For everyone to know, that is not the same thing I wore the other day, but it's okay. It's quite all right. Yeah, but yeah, just show up. I mean, it's such a silly little thing to say. It's such a silly little thing to even think that you have to say it. But at the end of the day, most people don't show up, and then they wonder why. And it's just, I mean, Nike has the greatest slogan of all time. Just do it. Just do it. Yep. What's the worst thing that could happen? Well, if you don't do anything, nothing. Yeah. So everything's going to be better.
And everyone has an excuse for why they don't show up. Like, my favorite is, well, I got kids, man. I'm like, I got 3 sons. Like, I still show up. Like, the groups I run are an hour, maybe 2-hour commitment a month. It's not like I'm dedicating a substantial part of my life to community stuff that I do. It's just a couple hours, and it's all stuff we pre-scheduled. So it's not like, oh my gosh, I have this thing tonight. It's just put it on your calendar. The groups I run have been at the same time every month for 15 years. Like, you could set your calendar back in 2009 and you would never miss a meeting because it would always be on the same day. So that, people like to make excuses. Don't make excuses. Just show up. There's your short. Yeah.
How have you always been doing the consult with Griff thing? Is that
that was I started that in 2011. So the way it worked was the story is I graduated college in 2006. I went to work for Symantec. Symantec had an office over in Newport News off of Oyster Point. And I went there. I was a junior software developer or junior software engineer. I was super important. I was an engineer. And I worked there for 3 months. And then one day I walked into the office. They were doing an all hands meeting, and which wasn't out of the ordinary. They did them every couple of weeks. And all hands meeting, they said, hey, we're shutting down the building. Symantec's going out of business here in Newport News. And most of you are going to just get severance, and you're done today. So I lost my job 3 months into my first career job. And so I learned then, I'm like, all right, I'm not going to rely on a business to take care of myself. So any career decisions I make, it's all going to be me focused. I went to work for another company after that called Antec Systems in Chesapeake. Great company, loving them to death. I worked there for a couple years, and when I got there, I started looking for community outside of my job, and we were doing a lot of Microsoft.NET work, and there was nothing here for that, but there were groups up in Richmond, and I would go once a month up to Richmond to hang out with those groups and just learn as much as I could. But then Also just meeting people. Like networking became insanely important to me. And I met a lot of great folks who I'm still friends with today. That led to me helping run some events up in Richmond. So Richmond used to have this thing called the Richmond Code Camp, and it was twice a year, and it was a free event on a Saturday where people could come out and just learn whatever was being taught. And they were getting a couple hundred people to that event, and I just met more and more people. And because I was just showing up, and even that, I was showing up after driving an hour and a half, 2 hours to get to Richmond. The folks there asked me if I wanted to get involved in running events. So I started helping run the Richmond Code Camp. I had started the Hampton Roads.net group down here in the area because I didn't want to drive to Richmond every month anymore. And, that ran for a couple years. We ran Mad Expo, the Mid-Atlantic Developer Expo. That led into several years later doing RevolutionConf. And then we also ran Hampton Roads Dev Fest. I've always been a big advocate of trying to get people together. I've been an advocate for teaching everything I know. And that has just kind of guided my career journey, my career success since getting laid off by Symantec. And yeah, is where I am today. It's because of just trying to be a figure in the developer community and help developers be better, because we're all just so scattered. And every time I have had a low in my career, there's always been someone saying, hey, I need some help, or I have a gig for you, or I have a customer who needs some extra hands. Could you come help? And that's led to a ton of success as an independent consultant. Which I kind of totally skipped over. In 2011, so I was working for Antec, and I got an opportunity to do some big contract work. So I ended up leaving Antec to go do that contract work. I thought that was going to be short-lived after about 6-9 months. And I have been doing that since, just working with individual businesses around the world. And I think I've kind of put it into the bio. I've worked with military. I've worked with small mom and pop businesses. I've worked with Fortune 50 companies, and everything in between. Like everyone has a need. And
well, I love that. I mean, just in the sense of, I'll have some media people contact me, in the sense of panic. There's a lot of uncertainty going on in this region right now. I mean, it's just with the shipyard, or recently NASA, or whatever the case is, and what are your thoughts on this? How is this place going to survive without government funding to make this happen? And it's just like, I think we're going to see a lot more entrepreneurship pop up as a result of this. These folks, they get a severance package. They realize that they got to bet on themselves, much like you did. They've identified areas and problems that need to be solved. I see that as, that we're going to see more entrepreneurship, more business pop up as a result.
The interesting, just to piggyback off of that, is people have been talking about that, ourselves included, for a long time. Like, you need to get off of some of these things. Yeah. And it would be better if we get off of some of these things. And so I've always, from a narrative perspective, would have liked people to take a more positive spin like you just did there, Mr. Ryan TNT, because it is a positive for a lot of people too, right? And you know what? Maybe a couple hundred of those people hated their jobs there. So this is actually an opportunity for them to do something that would be, not so stressful for them. And maybe there is an opportunity for them to learn how to vibe code and get out there into the world. And so,
I think it's just, timing wise, it's great. If you find yourself that you're like, what do I do now? What do I do next? Show up to one of Kevin's events, that's where it all starts.
You somewhere in there though, Kevin, when you were talking about your life, you've neglected to acknowledge your previous role as a male model. I'm just wondering when that stopped.
It never started. It makes good LinkedIn bait. For the specific reason.
You weren't expecting that. Were you just like, wait,
I wasn't expecting that question, but yeah, I very much try to not be a vanilla, like just another face in the crowd. LinkedIn is a place where it is very easy to get lost in just the sea of people trying to sell you shit. And so when I did my LinkedIn profile, I'm like, how do I make my header look like, where I don't look like one of just the random people? And I'm like, maybe bring a little bit of humor to it. And you look at me, you don't think male model, right? So, you look at my LinkedIn header and go, oh, he made the right decision not doing the modeling anymore.
I believe you have one of the best headshots I've seen. So I appreciate that.
Look at Big Balls.
I'm going to milk that
everybody
until my
knows
60s.
Big Balls now.
I don't know what that is, but okay.
Big Balls from Doge. That was his LinkedIn name.
No idea.
Come on, Zach.
Oh no, one of his boys. Yeah.
Okay, so Tim, I don't know if you know this, but Kevin Griffin is live from a shed in his backyard right now.
That's the shed quarters, man. We follow one another on the X, and
tell us about like the
shed.
All right, tell us about the shed quarters.
Yeah, because you DIY'd it. How did it all come about?
So I've been working from home since 2011, right? I quit my job. I had nowhere to go. I didn't have to go to an office anymore. So I was working from home, and we had a room over our garage that I was using, and it was my home office. Had kids. My first son was born in 2011, and then another one in 2012. And then they got up to school age, and my wife, she's a doula. She basically stays home, and then she goes out to births when people are having babies. So she wanted to homeschool the kids. She used to be a teacher before we had kids, and she wanted to homeschool. And she said, I like to have a dedicated place to homeschool the kids. And our house, it was meant to be our starter home, right? And the way the housing market is, turns out it's going to be our forever home too. The room over the garage was the best place to set up homeschooling stuff. And obviously I couldn't work in the same room as the kids were trying to homeschool. So I just made an off the cuff comment. I'm like, why don't I just build an office in the backyard? And my wife said, that's a great idea. You should totally do that. So I looked around, and this was all pre-COVID, right? So things were much more inexpensive. I ended up getting a prefabbed shed from a place called State Line Builders out in Suffolk, and they built it, they delivered, they dropped it right in place, and I came in and I refinished the entire thing. So I put in insulation, I did all the drywall. I have a mini split over there for heating and air, and I ran power and Ethernet out here, so I have fully wired, ready to go. The only thing I don't have is a bathroom, so I still have to go in the house to, take care of business. And this has been my office for 8 years. And the best part about it, and I always say, if you work from home, you should have a dedicated space for work. It really shouldn't be your bedroom. It shouldn't be your living room. I like having the dedicated space to work because I come out to work. I go to work and I work. But then when I leave work at work. When I go in the house, it's family time. It's hobby time. It's hanging out with my kids, doing stuff around the house. If there's a work need, I have to go into work. So I'm not the type of person that's just going to go off into the corner and try to slip some work in on the couch. Work is out in the shed quarters, and I've been like that for years, and I love it. It's made my life so much easier, so much less stress.
What's the commute like on rainy days?
Ooh.
Oh man, I have some pictures where like we'll get those monsoons or the snow. Like when we got the 13 inches of snow not too long ago.
It was not 13, Kevin. We live close to each other. It was 9 to 11. Don't lie.
Yeah, my gosh. When we got the 26 inches of snow, You know what? If it's more than 1 inch of snow, it might as well be 12 to 13
That's
because
right.
I looked out the back door. I'm like, crap, I have to walk through this. So first thing I did was I went out and I shoveled the driveway so the kids could go out and not slip. Then I brought the shovel in the backyard and I had to shovel myself a path to my office. And I have a little porch on the front. And I shoveled off my porch. And that's how I got to work. But yeah, there's some days where I've thought about, yeah, maybe today's a good day to not work because I don't want to have to walk through this.
I
have a nice rain jacket, umbrellas. Yeah.
I bought a shovel for the first time this year. I have lived here 18 years, and this was the first time. And I'll tell you this, I'm glad I bought it. You have a shovel, Tim?
They come in
handy.
Yeah.
The problem is it just sits there all year. I use it for 30 minutes, and then it just sits there. I mean, what a waste. It was $18.
Put it in the back of the garage, put it out we have a garden shed as well. It lives in the garden shed. And when I know it's going to snow, I'll move it into the garage just so it's available.
What's something we haven't talked about that you want to talk about?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. We talked about the developer community. We need people. We're getting ready to do a happy hour for the technologists in the area. We launched a new site a month or two ago called 757technology.org.
Great site. Super clean. I dig it.
I vibe coded that. To bring this back around. Yeah, I vibe coded that entire thing because I didn't want to spend any time on it. I had a couple of free hours on a weekend, and I'd been working with another gentleman in the area, Ted Patterson, and we had talked about doing this, and I just sat down and vibe coded it based off of a Notion layout that we had. And yeah, the best part about it is it updates every day with information from meetup.com. So if we see a new event pop up on someone's calendar, it automatically gets put on the site. I'm trying to push that towards doing a weekly newsletter of the events going on for developers. Our whole emphasis is if you're a technologist coming into the area, or you've been here and you're just trying to find community, you can go to 757technology.org and just see what's available. And like, you don't have to come to my group there, but there's a dozen other groups that would love to have you. And I want to be a cheerleader for all the technologists in this area, because that's like, we have so much talent here, and there's no reason why Revolution Conf or DevFest shouldn't have 2,000-3,000 people showing up.
Right.
Like, we have the talent here. We just need the people to show up. And I think a lot of times people don't show up because they actually probably don't know we exist. So we just need to be loud, and we need everyone to be cheerleaders for everything that's going on. So I always try to tell folks that come to our meetings or come to our conferences, come to our happy hours, like, just bring a friend, bring a coworker, bring a random person off the street. I don't care.
That's
Is
it.
there any,
Nothing else? Worst roller coaster you've ever been on? Like,
worst roller coaster. Oh man, that's Big Apple coaster, New York, Vegas. That one hurt.
The Togo, the one that does the upside down.
No, at the casino, right?
At the casino at New York. That sucker. That is one I just remember hurting. So
how often is that maintained or inspected? Yeah, I mean, I just can't imagine that there's a
daily.
I would assume in Vegas it's probably, yeah.
I think they have to be. I think part of like the health inspector. I don't know if health is the right word. I think you have to do it daily, because
do they know what they're looking for? I don't know. I mean, it's just like, for me, like, my whole deal is, and I don't think that they necessarily put up roller coasters back in the day when there was carnivals, like these people at these carnivals and fairs.
I
mean, this stuff is getting, they're constructed, tore down and constructed every day. These guys, they can't wait to just finish the job and go do it, whatever it is that they do. I just don't trust it.
I mean, you've seen Final Destination 3. That was portrayed to be at a carnival. Like, Bad News Bears happened that day. I mean, we can't have these kind of things. No, accidents do happen, but roller coasters are the safest form of transportation.
I did a report in high school. You are more likely to get injured by a shopping cart than you are on a roller coaster.
Well, that's because people just don't put those shopping carts in the cart corral.
That's
Great
right.
Instagram channel to follow is the Cart Narcs, if you've never seen it.
I've seen them. Yep. When I was a teenager, I worked at a Kmart, and I was the cart guy. I would always go get the
rake and
carts,
iron.
and I learned that, you know how you talk to someone who used to be in the restaurant business as a server, and they would say, I always tip because I know what it's like to be a server. Those are the same people that are going to leave a shopping cart on the other side of the parking lot. Like, I always return my carts because I used to be the guy who had to walk across the parking lot on a 110-degree day to get the
Just
shopping
be a
cart.
good person.
That's what I'm
How
saying. That's
hard
why
is
you're
it?
a good human,
It's not that
Kevin.
hard.
Dude, I'm with you there.
When you have a great event, we're gonna we'll do a little variation of this, Zach. You have a great event. You have to bring a go-to heavy hors d'oeuvre snack. What's your go-to food item that you would want to bring to this? That's always generally a hit with your attendees.
With our attendees, so we make the joke of anything that's not pizza or subs. Like that's, but because that is the easiest way to feed a lot of people, right? Is subs or pizza. If I was, trying to feed a lot of people and, seem like I put some time and effort and money into it, we found taco bars work really well. Like make your own tacos or nachos. Those work great. However people feel about it, Chick-fil-A nugget trays are always a winner. Like those disappear overnight. But usually the fallback is some sort of sandwich or some sort of pizza. HR Dev Fest, we did sandwiches. Revolution Conf, we had a pasta day that worked well. Feeding a lot of people on a budget is really hard.
The challenge too, though, venue-wise, is a lot of venues make you use their caterers.
Yeah,
That's why it can be expensive. Yep.
But even like I remember we did one at ODU, and I think it was starting off at 3, 4, I can't recall. Pizza was the meal, and they were charging $17 a person for pizza, and it was like a slice and a cookie and a drink. I'm like, yo, you're robbing me. It was like $25,000 in food cost.
That's only a lot reason. Of money. So Revolution Conf was at the Wyndham down off 57th Street at the oceanfront. So first, great hotel. Like I'm not going to say anything about them. They're a great venue. The biggest reason we chose them was because our food and beverage minimum was $12,000 per day. So you essentially get the space for free, but food and beverage minimum was $12,000. I'm like, I can do that. Like that is easy. And I forgot what our actual numbers were at the end of the event, but like that's the cost of the event is usually in the food and beverage, or they'll
400 people, Tim, 2 or 3 meals. That's not that bad.
Yeah.
Whatever. What was the hotel in Portsmouth? The Renaissance? Is that
the
what
Renaissance? We
was that pre or post the renovation? They've renovated it now.
I haven't been there in years. We never did an event there. We looked at doing an event there.
Oh, you looked at doing it. Okay.
We looked at doing one. Their food and beverage was, I think, would have been 30, 40,000. Like it was up there. We looked at doing it at the Virginia Beach Convention Center. I don't know how anyone does an event there, like because their food and beverage minimum was so high for
rubber chicken.
And that's only to give you one little room up on that second floor. If you wanted a ballroom or anything, they're like, oh, well, then that's an additional however many $1,000. And then they say, oh, did you want Wi-Fi or internet? So,
right.
Yeah, that'd be great. But like, all right, we can offer you 100 KBS for however many $1,000. I'm like,
and would you like some power strips? Yeah.
And like, I remember having this discussion going, oh, there's absolutely no way we can be here. Like, and this is even after we had Ray over at Economic Development. Like
Ray White, yeah.
Like we should have had help, and we got nothing. So we ended up going to these hotels. It's why the Zetter's Theater in Virginia Beach was was great. It's a nonprofit.
Who
They're
owns those
supporting
venues?
local.
The cities? Are convention centers owned by cities? Are they a city-run thing?
I think it's kind of like a half and half situation. I used to work for the city, and I remember setting up networks over there. So I think a good portion of it is city employees. So
well, then it's even worse.
Tourism,
especially when you're trying to do something from a community perspective.
How else you going to pay for all this other junk they're doing?
Well, I will say for those that do sponsor events that we put on, I do take that to heart, and I will frequently support them. In return.
Well, Mr. Roller Coaster Man, congratulations. This was great. Appreciate your time, Kevin. Good to see you. There was so much more we could have talked about. Maybe we'll do another episode in a couple of years.
Yeah, anytime.
Can't wait to look at the what your male model status is at that point.
Hit the gym a little bit more. Yeah, we'll see if it comes back.
Well, they say you can make some money on OnlyFans. So, well,
on that note,
thank you all. Have a great day. Like, subscribe, download. Thank you for watching, listening. Have a great day. Cheerio.